John opened his eyes slowly. His body was floating, cold and light. There were stars all around him. No floor, no walls, no air, just space, endless space. He looked down and saw nothing on him. He was completely naked. His heart began to race. He was not dreaming. He was really in space, and he was alone. His mouth opened to speak, but no sound came. There was no air to carry his voice. No one to hear it. His chest hurt. His lungs were tight. Then something clicked on his wrist. A small silver band on his arm lit up. Blue lights blinked, and a soft hiss came suddenly. He could breathe. The band was giving him air. He gasped, then coughed. Then took deep breaths. Where am I? He whispered to himself, how did I get here? His mind was foggy, like waking up from a deep sleep. He tried to remember the last thing before the blackness. A party. Yes, there was a party. He had been on Station Helios, a floating city in orbit. Around Saturn, humans and aliens lived there, worked there, shared ideas. It was peaceful, mostly. He was an engineer, fixing machines and learning alien tech. At the party, there had been laughter, music, drinks, strange lights, and even stranger faces. But one face stood out. Xena. She was tall, with silver skin and for glowing eyes. Her voice was smooth, her smile sharp. She had danced with him, laughed with him. She had said, human humor is cute. They had talked about Earth, about games, about jokes. Then she said something he could now barely remember. I want to show you something really funny. He had smiled, nodded. Then everything had gone dark. And now he was here. John looked around again. Still nothing but stars. But then, from the corner of his eye, something moved. A tiny light. Like a star blinking too fast, it was coming closer. A small drone, no bigger than a football. Floated near him. It stopped in front of his face. Then beeped. A blue hologram appeared. It was her, Xena, smiling as always. But now her smile looked playful and cruel. Hello, John, she said. Don't worry. You're not dead, yet. This is just a little test, or maybe a joke. Who knows? I want to see how long a human can stay calm when... Surprised, he reached out, but the hologram disappeared. The drone beeped again, then floated away. John didn't follow. He couldn't move well in zero gravity. He could only spin slowly, like a leaf in the wind. He looked at the wristband. Again, there was a green light now, blinking fast. A number appeared, 58 to 39. It was a countdown. He had 58 minutes and 39 seconds of air. Panic hit him like a punch. He tried to breathe slowly, tried to think, what was this? A prank, a science experiment, a punishment. Why him? He remembered her words at the party. You humans are so soft, so simple. But maybe that's what makes you fun. John clenched his teeth. This wasn't fun. This was insane. He had to survive. He had to find a way back. But where was back? No ship, no station, no planet in sight. Just stars, cold and silent. He squinted, and far, far away, he saw a dot, not a star, a shape. Was it a ship? His wristband beeped again. The drone returned. This time with a soft light underneath. It hovered close, scanning him. Then it moved slowly in the direction of the shape. John understood. Follow the drone. Maybe that was her plan. Maybe it was part of the test. He kicked his legs and pushed off with his arms. Slowly, clumsily, he followed. Each movement was hard. His body was freezing. But his mind was burning, full of questions and fear. Who was Xena? Really? Why did she do this? Would she let him die? And worse, was someone else watching? The stars watched, silent and cold. The countdown ticked, 58 minutes, 57 minutes. The game had started. John didn't laugh. He didn't cry. he just moved forward, one breath at a time. John kept moving through space. The drone floated ahead of him, blinking with blue lights. Each movement was slow, each breath careful. His body was shaking from cold, but his mind was burning with questions. Who was she? Why did she do this? He remembered her name clearly now. Xena, the alien who smiled like she knew secrets. The one who laughed at human jokes but never told her own. John met her 2 weeks ago. She came to the engineering bay with a broken scanner. She spoke softly, like music in the wind, but her eyes for glowing circles watched everything. At first, she asked about tools, machines, power cables. Then, she started asking about Earth. What is rain? She had asked, what does it feel like, too? Touch a dog. Why do you humans close your eyes when you laugh? John didn't know how to answer all her questions, but he liked talking to her. She seemed curious, kind, different from the others. He never thought she would become a danger. Now, floating in the dark, following a drone, John wondered if he had missed the signs. Maybe her smile was never friendly. Maybe it was always a mask. The drone stopped suddenly. A circular light appeared in space, like a door with no wall. It opened wide, and John floated inside. It was a chamber, round and glowing, with alien symbols on the walls. As soon as he entered, a soft voice filled the air. Welcome, human. It was Xena. Her voice coming from everywhere. This is level 1. A screen lit up in front of him. Showing a memory their first meeting, John saw himself, smiling. Fixing her scanner, he heard their voices, their jokes, their laughs. Then the screen went black. A question appeared. What tool did you hand me first? John blinked, surprised. He thought hard. A magnetic screwdriver. He said. The screen beeped. And a green light flashed. Correct? Then the voice returned. Your memory is strong? Good. What is this? John shouted. Some kind of game. Yes, Xena said. But it's more than that. You told me humans are clever, brave, full of feelings. I want to see if that's true. I trusted you. He yelled. I thought we were friends. Friendship, she said, is a very human word. In my world, we test those we care about. We see what they are made of. John clenched his fists. He felt like a rat in a maze. But the only way out was forward. The chamber shifted. Turning like a puzzle, a new door opened, leading to another room. This one looked like a copy of his room on the space station. Same bed, same table, even his Earth music player. He floated toward it and pressed play. But instead of music, her voice played. You humans collect songs, pictures, memories. Why do you hold so tight to the past? Then the walls turned to glass. Outside, stars moved like waves. John saw Earth. Far away then, it vanished in a blink. He screamed, "Stop playing with me." The lights dimmed, and the voice grew softer. You once asked me if aliens feel emotions. I didn't answer. I am answering now. A small orb floated toward him, glowing softly. Inside, it was a scene Xena, sitting alone in a dark room. Her eyes were dim, her body still. She looked sad. The orb disappeared. John didn't know what to think. Was she lonely? Was this her way of reaching out? Or was this just another trick? Then the countdown on his wrist blinked. He only had 37 minutes of air left. No time for games, no time for feelings. Xena. He shouted, if you want to understand humans, then listen. We're not puzzles, not toys. We break. There was silence. Then her voice returned, but quieter. I want to understand, she said, but I'm not sure how. The drone lit up again and showed a path, a thin tunnel, glowing with green light. This way, she said. Level 2 begins now. John floated forward, his face hard, his heart confused. Somewhere deep inside, he still wanted to believe she meant no harm, but in space, belief was dangerous, and time was running out. John floated through the glowing tunnel. Green lights pulsed softly on the walls. His breaths were loud inside the helmet. Each one reminded him that time was running out. 33 minutes of air left. No ship, no station, no rescue, just a human alone, following a drone through an alien-made trap. He tried not to think about the cold on his skin, the fear in his chest. The voice of Xena still echoed in his mind. "I want to understand humans," she had said. But how was this? Understanding. How was floating naked in space a lesson? The tunnel opened into a new room. It was dark, silent, and square. No lights, no screens, no signs. Only a chair in the middle. The drone beeped and stopped. John looked at the chair and frowned. It was not just any chair. It was his chair from Earth. Old blue, with a tear in the back. He had thrown it away years ago. Yet here it was. He slowly floated to it and touched the fabric. It felt real, too real. Suddenly, the walls lit up. 4 screens appeared. One on each wall. They all showed him. At different moments in his life, one showed him as a child, crying under a table. Another showed him fixing a ship engine. The third showed him laughing with his team. The last one showed him sleeping. With Xena watching him from the shadows, his blood ran cold. She had been studying him for a long time. Then her voice came again, soft but serious. Humans feel fear. Sadness, joy, and love. I want to know which one controls you the most. John shouted, "Let me out of here. This isn't a test. It's a trap." Xena replied, "You are free to leave if you find the exit. But to leave, you must understand yourself first." The screens changed again. Now, each one showed people he knew. His mother, his best friend, his first love, and then nothing. Just static. Who do you miss the most? Xena asked, "Who would you save if you could only choose one?" John clenched his fists. "I'm not playing this game," he said. But the screens didn't stop. They kept flashing images, sounds, voices, memories, some real, some twisted. His wristband blinked. 29 minutes of air. Then something new appeared in the center of the room. A mirror. He looked into it and saw himself, but not as he was now. He saw himself older, stronger, with eyes full of pain. Then the mirror cracked, and a message appeared. Human strength is not muscle. It is memory. Suddenly, the chair folded into a box. Inside was a small device, a square pad with a red button. The drone beeped twice. "Push it," Xena said. "It will take you to the next level." John stared at the button. "It's never that simple," he whispered. But the air was thinning, and the cold was deeper now. He had no choice. He pushed the button. The room disappeared in a flash of blue light. John was spinning again, through stars, through wind, through silence. Then he landed, softly. He opened his eyes. He was inside a small alien ship. The walls glowed softly. The floor was warm. He looked down. Clothes, finally. Thin alien fabric wrapped around his body. His air levels reset. Showing 60 minutes, but he didn't feel safe. He felt like a fish in a tank. A table appeared in front of him. On it were strange items. An alien puzzle, a translator, a book with human writing, and a small piece of paper that said, "Make me laugh." John frowned. Is this a joke to her? He whispered, "Does she think all of this is funny?" Xena's voice came again, but now it sounded different, less playful, more tired. "Your people laugh to survive." She said, "My people forgot how. I wanted to understand." Joy. John sat down at the table. He looked at the puzzle, at the words. Then he smiled bitterly. "You want a joke?" He said out loud. "Here's one. A naked human floating through space, being tested by an alien who doesn't understand emotions. Funny." Silence. Then soft laughter. Not cruel, not cold, real. "I'm sorry," Xena said, her voice almost a whisper. "I didn't know how else to reach you." John looked up. One of the walls faded, and for the first time, he saw her, not a hologram. Not a recording. The real Xena, standing in the shadows, watching, waiting. But before he could speak, the ship shook. Red lights blinked. A warning. Sounded in a language he couldn't understand. Something was coming, and the joke was over. Asterisk, the ship shook again. John grabbed the edge of the table to stay upright. Red lights flashed along the ceiling. The sound was loud now, an alarm, and... It wasn't just for show, Xena. John called out, "What's happening?" But she was gone. The wall where she stood was now solid metal. No door, no window, no sign of her. The voice from the alarm said something in a strange alien language. Then, in English, it translated. "Maze protocol activated. Human subject must proceed to survive." John's stomach turned. Another test, another game. This wasn't over. The floor beneath him opened. He fell straight down into a dark tunnel. No pain, just wind rushing past. Him, then soft impact. He landed on his feet in a dimly lit room. The walls were curved, glowing blue with alien symbols. There were 3 doors in front of him, one red, one green, one black. Above them, a sign appeared. "Choose with your instinct, not your mind." John took a step back. "This is insane," he said, "but I'm still alive." He looked at the doors. The red one gave off heat. The green one smelled like plants. The black one was cold and silent. He closed his eyes and listened to his own breath. Then he walked toward the green door. It opened slowly, revealing a long hallway filled with vines and glowing plants. He walked carefully, feeling the soft floor under his feet. Alien music played softly in the background. It was peaceful, almost too peaceful. Then he heard a whisper, a voice, not Xena's. A human voice. "John," it said. He turned fast. No one was there, just shadows and plants. "John, help me." This time it was louder. He moved toward the sound, pushing through the vines. Then he saw a figure, a human woman, trapped inside a glass box. She looked familiar. Her name came back to him like thunder. Maya, a scientist from Earth. She had disappeared 6 months ago on a deep space mission. "Is this real?" he whispered. She looked at him with wide, scared eyes. "Help me, please." He touched the box. It was cold and hard. A screen appeared beside it with 2 buttons. "Open and ignore." "What is this?" he said. "Another test." The screen showed a message. "Help her and risk yourself. Ignore and move forward safely." His hands shook. He didn't know if she was real or a trick, but her eyes, they looked real, full of fear. He pressed open. The glass melted away. Maya fell forward into his arms, gasping. "You're real?" he asked. She nodded. "They took me. I don't know who they are, but they made me part of their study." Before he could ask more, the walls shifted. The room transformed into another hallway. This time, metal and sharp lights blinked red. Maya pulled him along. "I've been through this maze," she said. "Only one path leads out. The others? Kill." They ran, dodging traps, walls that tried to close in, floors that vanished. John saw shadows watching from the ceiling. Drones, or eyes, or worse. They reached a large open chamber. At the center was a pillar with strange alien carvings. Maya pointed. "We need to place our hands there." At the same time, John nodded. They both stepped forward and placed their hands on the glowing stone. It lit up, brighter than the sun. Then silence. The maze faded away. Now, they were in a quiet room. Soft light, smooth walls, no traps, no puzzles. Just a chair in the center, and Xena standing beside it. John stared at her. Her expression was But her eyes were sad. You helped her, Xena said. You made the right choice. What is this place? John demanded, why are we being tested like animals? Xena looked down. My people do not feel emotions the way humans do. We lost something long ago, the ability to trust without reason. You humans still have that, Maya. Stepped forward, so you trap us to study trust. Xena replied. To understand it, we must see it in the hardest conditions. You risked yourself for her, even when it could have been a trick. That is what my people don't understand. And fear. John crossed his arms. What now? Xena pointed to the far wall. A large door opened, revealing a small ship. Leave, if you wish, she said. You've passed the maze, but others are still inside. Maya said, more humans, maybe more aliens. Xena nodded. Yes. And you're free to go, or you can stay. And help them? John looked at Maya, then at the ship, then back at Xena. He had escaped death, passed every test. But this choice, this one, wasn't part of any game. He had to decide. For himself, and this time, there was no right answer. John stood at the edge of the platform. The small ship waited with its lights on. It looked fast, just big enough for 2 people. He could leave. Finally, he could go back to Earth. But something inside him whispered, not yet, beside him. Maya looked at the ship, then at Xena. She didn't trust the alien, and John didn't blame her. Xena stepped forward slowly. You've earned your freedom, she said. You passed every level, showed every emotion my people cannot understand. John asked, why me? Why humans? There are thousands of species in the galaxy. Xena nodded. Yes, but humans are different. You value small things, love, memories, choices. Those things make you strong in ways we do not understand. He looked at the ship again. If we leave, what happens to the others? He asked, the ones still trapped in your maze. Xena paused. They remain until someone reaches them. John's jaw tightened. He had a choice, freedom or responsibility. Before he could speak, a loud beep came from his wristband. It was a signal, a message. Not from Xena, not from the maze. From Earth, he touched the screen. And a voice played. It was broken, filled with static, but clear enough. ... John Carter. This is Earth's command. We received your signal. Are you alive? Respond ... John froze. The voice belonged to Commander Hill, his old superior, the same man who had trained him years ago. He stared at the wristband. The message repeated. Maya's eyes went wide. That's real, she said. That's from home. John nodded slowly. But then another voice came. This one from behind them. Xena's voice, but colder. You should not trust everything you hear. John turned. What do you mean? She stepped forward. My people control all signals in this part of space. That message could be real, or it could be. Encouragement. You mean it's fake? Maya asked, shocked. A test. Kina shrugged. It could be. Or it could be a rescue. You must decide. John replayed the message, listening again. The voice sounded tired, urgent. There was emotion in it. Something machines couldn't fake easily. Can you block it? He asked Xena. Can. Your people stopped the signal from Earth. She looked away. I cannot say. John looked at Maya. If Earth found my signal, they might be nearby. They might be looking for us right now. Maya nodded. We need to send a reply. John tapped the wristband. Earth command. This is John Carter. He said, I'm alive, not alone, trapped in alien territory. Send help if you can. He pressed send. But the wristband flashed red. Signal blocked. Xena looked back at them. Your signal will not reach them from here. But there is a way. She raised her hand and a panel opened on the wall. Inside was a strange control pad, glowing with many colors. This is a transmitter, she said. real and powerful. But it can only be used once. John asked. Once. What does that mean? One signal, she replied. You can send a message to Earth or to the others in the maze, but not both. Maya stepped forward. That's not fair, she said. They need help just like we do, Xena. Said nothing, just waited. John's heart beat fast. This wasn't a test anymore. This was real. The message was real. Earth was listening, but the others, strangers, were still trapped. Still suffering, like he had. He looked at Maya, her. Eyes said the same thing he was thinking. They couldn't leave others behind. John touched the pad and chose the second option. Broadcast to the maze. He recorded his voice. This is John Carter. I've been through the maze. I survived. If you hear this, don't give up. Help is coming. He sent the message. The transmitter flashed bright. Then powered down. One use, just. Like Xena said, he turned to her. Now help us reach Earth. Xena stared at him. There was something in her eyes, something new. Not curiosity, not coldness, but respect. Maybe even admiration. You made the harder choice, she said. Most would have chosen home. John replied. We don't leave people behind. She nodded once, then turned and opened a hidden path. It's time for the truth, she said. Come with me, behind. The door was a dark hallway. At the end of it, a control room full of strange machines and glowing maps. And on one of the screens, blinking slowly, was a ship. A human rescue ship moving through space. Heading their way, John and Maya stepped. Forward, the game was not over, but hope had returned. John stood in front of the glowing screen. The shape on it was clear now. A human rescue ship. Moving slowly through space. It was real. No longer a trick or a test. Beside him, Maya stared in silence, her eyes filled with tears. This was the first sign of hope in what felt like forever. Xena stood quietly near the control panel, her silver hands folded in front of her. She did not speak. Not yet. John broke the silence. That's a real Earth signal, isn't it? Xena nodded. Yes, she said. They came because of the signal you sent earlier. They followed it here. Maya stepped closer. Then let us contact them again. Let them know we're alive. Xena didn't move. She looked away. I can't do that. John frowned. What do you mean you can't? You just showed us the ship. Xena turned back, her four glowing eyes dimmer than before. That ship is entering restricted space, she said. My people. They won't let it get closer. Maya's voice shook, then stopped them. Xena? Tell them we're not the enemy. Xena looked at the floor. I tried, she whispered, but they don't trust me anymore. John stepped forward. Why not? She hesitated, then answered slowly. Because I broke the rules. I was never supposed to speak to the test subjects. I was never supposed to feel anything. Maya's eyes narrowed. You mean us? You were supposed to watch. Not help. Xena nodded. Yes, but I watched you, John, and something changed. She looked at him, her eyes full of something rare regret. You were different, she said. You didn't just survive. You felt you. Remembered pain, love, loyalty. And when I saw that, I wanted to understand it. John's jaw tightened. And then what? You dropped me in space, like some kind of joke. Xena lowered her head. It wasn't a joke, not to me. But I didn't know how else to reach you. My people study through fear and pressure, not kindness. Maya folded her arms. You risked our lives. For what? Science. Emotion. Xena raised her hands. I didn't expect you to survive. But when you did, when you helped Maya, when you gave up your only signal home, she stopped. Something inside me broke. John stepped back. The joke turned on you, he said. That's what happened. Xena nodded. Yes. I thought humans were simple. I thought you were weak. But now, I see. You're strong in ways we can't explain. She walked to a side panel and touched it. A hidden room opened behind them. Inside were dozens of screens showing other humans still inside the maze. Some were running, others crying, others still trying to solve puzzles. John's heart sank. There are more of us, he whispered, all trapped, just like I was. Xena's voice shook. Yes. They were taken from different ships, different missions. My people want to understand what makes humans human. Maya stepped forward. Then help us set them free. Xena looked at her. If I do this, I will be exiled. My people will erase me from their systems. John said, then don't do it for them. Do it for yourself. She stared at him for a long time. Then she pressed her hand to the main control panel. Lights flashed red. Systems unlocked. Alarms echoed through the chamber. You now have access, she said. You can open the maze and free the others. John didn't waste a second. He ran to the console. Tapping through screens, each click opened a door, released a trap. Shut. Down a puzzle, Maya helped him, following symbols and code. Together, they worked fast. One by one, the humans on the screens began to escape. They looked confused, scared, but free. Xena stood quietly, watching. Her body started to fade slightly. Like light disappearing, John looked back. What's happening to you? She smiled sadly. They are erasing me already. I broke their trust, and this is my punishment. Maya ran toward her. There has to be a way to save you. Xena shook her head. No. But it's all right, for the first time, I did something real. Her form shimmered. Now barely visible. Thank you, John. Thank you for showing me what it means to care. Then, with a final flicker of light, she was gone. John stood still, heart heavy. He had lost an enemy, a guide, and maybe a friend. Maya placed a hand on his shoulder. We need to finish this, she said. He nodded. They turned back to the console. The last of the humans were now out. A new alert appeared on the screen. Rescue ship arriving in 4 minutes. The nightmare was almost over, but none of them would ever forget the maze, or the alien who broke her own rules to help them. The joke was broken. But something stronger had taken its place: understanding. The rescue ship hovered outside the alien structure. Its lights glowed warmly against the black sky. A docking port extended toward the chamber. The countdown on the screen hit 0. John stepped back from the console. Behind him, Maya stood with a group of newly freed humans. They were tired, bruised, but alive. Some cried, others stood silent. No one spoke of what they had seen. Not yet. The door opened with a hiss. 2 Earth officers rushed in. Wearing sleek black suits and helmets, they paused when they saw the group. One officer removed her helmet. It was Commander Hill's assistant, Lieutenant Rena. She looked at John with wide eyes. You're alive, she said, almost in shock. We thought we'd lost you 6 months ago. John gave a small smile. Feels like it's been 6 years. Rena looked around at the strange walls. The alien machines. What is this place? She asked. John paused, then replied, it was a test, a trap, and maybe something more. She stared at the others behind him. So many, she whispered. We had no idea. John nodded slowly. No one did. They led the group to the ship, helping the weak and the silent, as John stepped into the clean, familiar hallway of the rescue ship. He finally allowed himself to exhale. The air was warm, filled with the smell of metal and hope. Inside, the humans were checked, given food, water, and clean clothes. Doctors scanned them. Officers asked questions. But everyone avoided the real story. No one wanted to explain the maze. The tests, or the alien named Xena. Not yet. John sat quietly by a window, looking out at the stars. He wondered if Xena was truly gone, Her light had faded. But something told him she wasn't erased completely. Suddenly, a soft beep came from his wristband. The same band he had used in the maze. He looked at it, confused. It hadn't made a sound since Xena vanished. Now, on the tiny screen, a message appeared. "Thank you, John, for showing them what we forgot." John stared at it. Just 2 short lines, but they meant everything. He smiled to himself. She was still out there, somewhere, in some form, maybe not as she once was, but alive in her own way. Lieutenant Rena walked over and sat beside him. "You're a mystery now, Carter," she said. "People are going to want answers." He nodded. "They'll get answers," he said. "But they won't understand all of it." She raised an eyebrow. "Try me." John leaned back. "Have you ever heard of an alien who laughs?" She shook her head. "Never." "Well," John said, looking out the window, "I made one laugh." They both chuckled, quietly, but deep inside. John was thinking about what came next. Earth wouldn't let this go. They would want to find this alien race, this maze, this technology. Would they understand it? Would they destroy it, or use it for more tests, more traps? He wasn't sure, but he knew one thing. Humans would respond. And that was the real surprise. Back in the alien station, long after the ship left, a single drone floated in silence. It blinked once, recording nothing. Sending nothing, then from the shadows, a figure stepped forward. Silver skin, 4 eyes. Quiet steps, Xena, or something like her. But she didn't smile, she just watched the stars. She held a small object in her hand, a memory crystal, inside. John's voice played softly. "We don't leave people behind." Xena closed her eyes. Her people had lost their way. But maybe, just maybe, they could learn again. Not through control, not through tests, but through something far older, through trust. She walked back into the shadows. The station powered down. The lights dimmed. One panel stayed lit, blinking slowly, like a heartbeat. A symbol glowed. On the wall, something new, not alien, not human, a mix of both, a beginning, not an end.